What is up, guys? Welcome to the Maintenance Man channel. My name is Neil. Thank you for joining me tonight. Tonight we will be talking about speed squares, quick squares, whatever you like to call them. We're also going to do some demonstrations, some more with the hypertough 6.5 inch cordless circular saw, $50 at Walmart. Going over some of the features on that. We will stick a 2 amp hour battery on that 2.0. And we're going to give it a new blade. We're going to use the framing blade to cut through what we're cutting through. But you can also get a 60 tooth finish blade if you want to do trim work. Now this will not be an in-depth showing of how speed squares work, but I'll show you enough to maybe you can get by without having to get a miter saw or borrow a miter saw. So let's get to it. So first up, let's get this blade changed. Usually lefty loosey, righty tighty with things, but this is you turn to the right to loosen it and left to lock it. Also got to hold down the detent button in order for this to actually lock in. So here we go. Got that broke free. Alright. So these Diablo blades, I've had very good luck with them. Bring this blade guard up here. Go. Take that off. This carbide tipped one that came with it, not bad but not great either. Alright, so we have the new blade. You see the arrow going up, and on the blade it's going up as well. So you always want to match up those arrows to make sure your blade is going the correct way. Gonna set that back in there. Set this guy back on. And turn to the left to thread it on. Alright, so we'll use our key here. And then we'll put the key back in our little key holder there. I'll just check. Don't have any movement. It's going around good. So now we have it fitted with a nice Diablo blade. Now, I'm not a professional carpenter or anything like that. I do remodels in my apartments. And I haven't used all the features of a quick square, speed square. But, you know, if I'm doing like a straight cut or something, I'm going to mark it. Say here, alright? So we got our mark now. And then I'm going to use the speed square as a guide. Now remember to take into consideration the width of the blade also, depending on what side you want to keep. So I never go right down the line. If I want it from here to here is my measurement, and I'm going to go on the outside of this line to make sure I have my correct measurement. I take my speed square and I use it as a guide for the saw. So I have it on 0 there, the line. Woo! Now I will say, 2 amp hour battery and a new blade, and that saw is kicking butt right now. So the next thing you can do is a 45. say if you want to miter this corner here, so you can mark your 45 wherever you need it. So to get this all lined up with your 45, you can just flip it over here, and once again just slide it down until you're on the 0, hold tight. Now that's my fault for being on that side of it, but you get the idea. You can use it for 45s, you can use it for straight cuts as a guide. Lots of options with the speed square. So another accessory we have is this guide right here to make rip cuts off the material. So say you want to take a little bit off, we'll just set it here, and then we're going to flip it around, and we'll see how it does, guiding it for a little bit. So you can set your inches or what have you, and let's set you guys up over here and have at it. Stop it right there. It works very well, and this blade's working very well too. You know, you don't need a table saw for everything. You can use a circular saw. I've been doing it a long time with rip cuts. I've actually never used one of these. I just go along. But some materials you definitely do need a table saw, but you can get by without. So. Alright, so getting back to the saw, let's just do a couple more rip cuts and see how this new blade's doing. You guys can see I can actually push through the material. Man, if they came out with a 4 amp hour battery, just imagine what their lineup could do. The big piece of wood I had. We're going to set our depth on this one, which, you know what, to be honest with you, pretty much exactly where we want it. Now, reason why you want to set your depth to your wood is I have no clue, but I always assume that way you're getting more teeth going through it instead of if it were dropped down to here, you're going to be getting a lot of the blade instead of all teeth. So, I mean, we could go like there-ish about, but I like the depth where it's at now, so we'll kind of leave it there. And let's get a few cuts out of this wood. Blades made a huge difference here. Let's see what we get. I can push it right through that. Battery and blade. Alright, so we're going to use this little rip fence. This wood is not even on the edges or anything. It's an old beat up piece of wood. But we'll just see, I'm not going to be able to go all the way, but I'll go to about here, see how it does. Last time we did this, it stopped a lot, so let's see what we get. So as you guys can see, I was able to pick up the pace a little more than the last time. It did shut off, but I was pushing it pretty hard through that. Alright, this is a pressure treated 4x4. I'm just curious to see how it does going through it, so let's give it a few cuts here. Flipped it around here. I'll see if I can match my cuts up. I don't know. Close enough. So it does go through pressure treated 4x4 pretty well with that new Diablo blade. So the last thing I'd really like to try out here is another bevel cut. It did not do so good with it last time, but we shall see. So once again, you can't really push it through too hard. Nice, steady. And of course, in true maintenance man fashion, to be honest with you guys, this thing has fallen off the sawhorses quite a few times while filming, and it's held up just fine. I mean, it's fallen hard. The battery doesn't come out, so let's give it a little shove. Battery came out. Let's see what we get. Still working well. No damage from what I can tell. It does have nice rubber over molding. It's a nice saw. So in conclusion, on my last video doing this, a lot of people had mentioned that they had never thought of using a speed square as a guide for cutting. So I wanted to make just throw it into this video a little bit. That's about the extent of what I use to cut wood, but for someone who might not be familiar with this stuff and you have some work to do, could help you out big time around the house, especially if you have a circular saw. You can probably get a lot of different things done. In terms of the hypertough saw, I gotta tell you, the blade change, amazing. And that's just a 2 amp hour battery, 1.5 to a 2 amp. You can tell the difference in power. And like I said, I can only imagine how well it would work with like a 4 amp or even a 3 amp hour battery. Going through all this pressure treated wood. It's a nice little saw for 50 bucks. I don't think you can beat it for around the house. I might even take it into work and run it there for a little bit. But definitely going to be using it around the house. And as always, guys, I appreciate you watching. If you're not subscribed, get subscribed, and I will catch you on the next one. Later.